Peace and blessings. Greetings, beloved. How's everyone? Coming in for our Wednesday Humbday Wellness check. Soundbytes. I am Nefera TuMa'ati and
It's a Sirka Nefera. What's going on, everybody?
peace and blessings, family. Oh, guys, see my face is back. Update. My face is back. I know you guys know a couple of Wednesdays. What, 2 Wednesdays ago? One Wednesday ago?
Last Wednesday.
I was doing a facial peel treatment situation, and it was looking hideous. Your girl is back, darling. Your girl is back. Sun kiss, family. So I'm glad to see everyone. Everyone's still here on this. What is it? COVID hump day restriction.
Quarantines.
Quarantines, that's what we're going to call it. So we're checking in just to see how everyone's doing. Have a quick pop-in recap. Find out how we're doing on these restriction days. What projects are we working on? How we keeping busy. And reminding us to stay resilient, determined, committed. And listen, folks, stay in the house.
Yeah.
Stay in the house. Made a post earlier talking about the things that we thought were so important. Now we have soon found out that they are not actually that necessary, right? Because we're able to survive without them. And they're more about habits than they are about anything else. So family, let's stay in the house. Let's take care of each other. Let's take care of ourselves. Let's do our self-care. Look out for our families. You know, there's a lot of different narratives going on around here. I'm here for a deeper analysis about things. But at the end of the day, this is real. This is something that's really happening. And at this point, there is sickness here that's killing people. And granted, there's other things that kill more people. You know, high blood pressure kills more people. HIV kills more people. Diabetes kills tons of people. Heart disease kills tons of people. Cancers kills tons of people. And that keeps being the conversation. But what is not being the conversation is that this COVID is killing people and all these businesses are not running. Mm-hmm. So there is definitely something in the space happening, and we are at a loss for information on what that is. So what we need to do is really be protecting ourselves and our families and trying to get through this experience. Brother Kareem said, listen, if D4 wanted to kill us, that'd been done already. Mm-hmm. So that's not the situation. So there must be something else brewing. What do you think?
Yeah, there's psychological plays going on, so just kind of find a way to keep people docile, keep control involved.
Yeah.
As long as it's, because you can't control dead people, so the best way to keep it controlled is to have people in fear and respect what you're doing and have them pump money into what you're doing. So there's that whole thing that's taking place, with, kind of it's a way to keep things in line. You know what I mean? It was built. This country's built on the structure of just like power dynamic. This world is built on the structure of power dynamics. What have you. So, and that includes like psychological and biological warfare, and then we're very well in the case of that right now. And we come here with this wellness check to just remind our people. We hope that our people aren't out there doing the craziness, but there are people out there doing the craziness of just wanting to be defiant and protest just for the sake of protesting sake. You don't want to just be protesting just to protest. If you're going to do it, have a reason to do it. And let's not protest the dumb stuff. Let's this is a virus. You standing outside and not wearing your mask or adhering to social distancing and things that. That's not you protesting against the system. Because for those at the end of the day, for essential workers, people that still got to work and go through this. You're actually protesting against them. You're protesting against your family. You're protesting against the livelihood of others and the lives of other people, the lives of those workers that may need that have to stay home or have to close up their shop temporarily, that may be getting connected that are exactly you're protesting their lives and their livelihood by because the longer we don't adhere to what's taking place that's supposed to be put in place to keep us safe, the longer we have to deal with it. And that means the longer that stores are closed, the longer that schools are closed, the longer that your favorite shop is closed, the more strain is put on the hospitals, the more strain is put on emergency service workers and emergency food providers and everybody that's trying to help others cope. And then what that does is lead us down a vicious cycle of more people that are helping people that need help from other people to help people that need help from other people. And it's putting a strain on society. So you're not. Please be advised. For those that do it, or for those that know people that do it, it's not. You're not doing the system any favors right now. You're actually helping because you're making more sick people, and the big pharmacy thrives off of sick people. And big pharma and corporations and the United Business of America work hand in hand. So you're not really helping anybody by, standing outside just for the sake of standing outside. You can go take your walks. You can go do all that, what have you. Get your air right, but you still got to be responsible in the space. No congregating in stores and like people. Like we were in Whole Foods today and people just like on top of us. I'm like, why? Like this. It was keep crazy. Your distance. It's not that serious. Like. None of this is not as serious as people are making it out to be. People are making. In terms of, it's a particular protocol that's put in place to like, this is how we can do it. Let's follow that. Okay, cool. Versus people are out here like, nah, I don't want to do that. Don't tell me what to do. Right.
And
this is how people are acting. You can't be in a space of like, don't tell me what to do because right now this is what's gonna help. Period. Like I said, I've said it before. Like revolution, all that type of stuff. We're in it. That's great. You don't have to stay silent. In any type of protest against what's going on. You can be very much upset with what's going on and like protest in other different ways. But right now, one of those ways is to also stay home. Because the quicker the society itself, meaning the humans that are working on the ground, are able to get back to quote unquote normalcy of being out and doing what they need to do. Right. The quicker we stand within this in these particular protocols, the quicker people can get back to doing what they need to do to help the system. And what's come light of this, which is actually a light in the end of the tunnel with this whole thing, is that we see in a raw deal how this American system works. We see in a raw deal how these corporatocracies work. We see in a raw deal around how the racism, of course, is ever present, but it's fired up and more ignited and more in your face and more clear. We're seeing how the labor system is just screwed up, and you got these people that are considered essential workers that were a couple months ago not even worth a damn, and like people treat them so crazy. They were fighting so hard just to get $15 an hour. For a lot of these folks that are now considered essential workers. You know what I mean? So you want to be able to see clearly what the dynamics are that are being told to us. We're being told that these people that were once people that we shouldn't value, so to speak, are now the top tier of our survival. Okay. How about that?
Because if they don't go to work, you can't clear no shelves off.
Exactly.
That could cause situations to be real hot on the ground if these grocery stores did not get there and did not replenish. Yeah. The food doesn't just get to the grocery store where there's a clerk and a stock worker. It comes from a warehouse that comes from a farm, that comes from a manufacturer, factory somewhere. Yeah. And those factory workers are still at work because they're still producing those goods.
Yeah. Oh. Food chain workers and farmers.
Come on, we gotta think bigger.
Small scale farmers. A lot of those are family farmers. And those are majority of those are people of color. Majority of those are women producers.
Yes, they are.
So, and they're the ones that already, aside from a COVID or a quarantine, they've already been mistreated for decades. Undervalued, underpaid. Their rights have been violated constantly. But they're the ones that produce the majority of the food out there. The majority of the food they just produce is by workers that get the least amount of respect. Yeah, exactly. Respect. They don't, and they're the ones that don't. That tend to not even eat. Dignity. They're the ones that tend to not even eat, and they're the ones that are producing the food. We're talking about people of color and like indigenous peoples. You got black farmers fighting for black food sovereignty. You have indigenous, Latin America, Mexico, people across the globe that are the peasant farmers. Peasant actually as a term, a strong term of people that understand and till the land and understand indigenous practices that make sustainable food products for us to consume every day.
That's right.
That get to our plates. A lot of them, they can barely see their plates, and that's the reality of it.
That's
and
right.
we don't respect that. And now with everything happening with COVID and the quarantine, is putting a strain on the economy in that sense. It's putting a strain on the food system because now you have more people that are out of work. 3 million people plus are out of work that are, now they have to look to food banks. Now they have to look to food pantries or what have you. And food surplus the supply is slowly not meeting demand because there's too many people now flooding the system. And the system is only doing as much as they can with what's being made available. Donations to food banks are getting lower and lower because people are fearing what's they're fearing what's they're not able to grasp. They're fearing the quarantine and the COVID possibility. They don't want to donate or receive much. And a lot of the volunteer base that we've seen within America is they're elder people. Ones that are retired and then they have time to do these things. The majority elder people who also in turn are the most vulnerable people to this virus.
That's right.
So we got to take all these things in consideration. There needs to be more support on the ground for emergency food providers. As one example of how the system needs to be supported right now, how fractured it is, how much we've treated as a given careless treatment to this system, and given how vital it is.
Right.
So we need to flip the system on its head. When we get out of this whole situation, the system needs to severely flip on its head.
And we need to spend some time structuring that
blessings,
thought.
Sister Aisha. How are you? Thank you.
Appreciate you, my sister Aisha out there.
We're just doing a wellness check-in and kind of just giving our spiel and our take on what's going on based on the information we have available to us and just observation and how we want to see the source of family. Yeah, source of family and keep everybody in a healthy state. And just talking about suggestions around one of the things is the food system and how. And the system in general, but the food system and how it's been severely affected over the past couple of weeks. There's hungry people that were already existing, and now they're much more strained. They're much more challenged. Their challenges are amplified. When it's hunger and poverty is in the case, their challenges are amplified by this situation. And the government has been clearly proven now. In the clear eyes of the people to not be sufficient and strong enough to support its actual people. They're financially stable, but they're choosing not to do it. Right. So these are the pieces that we're seeing. The abundance is actually available. It's actually available at the snap of a finger.
At the snap of a finger. Pushing buttons.
Whether you can put a stimulus package and throw the money around and
just
play
toss it around real quick.
That's what's ready at the helm. But it's being chosen by where it wants to go. So this should bring the light bulb off to the rest of to American society about what's really happening on the ground, and with our economic justice, our food justice, and racial justice. All these pieces are playing a part right now in what's coming up from this pandemic. People think it's just a virus. It's not.
It's just a virus that we're bored and we don't want to stay in our houses.
No,
like grow up, have some maturity around this conversation. It's really not about that. There are tons of people who are essential workers, not only just food, but also in health and services, that still have to go to work because we have huge demographics of individuals that are within these systems. Foster care, homeless shelters, geriatric hospices. These people didn't get to work from home. They had to continue to go to work. So, if folks are out and about and they're moving this thing around, and it's only moving because it's a communicative disease. It's moving in the space. People are transferring it and growing it. So if we practiced the social distancing and we stayed in our homes, then we could support these other spaces in order to move this thing through. Right. Now there's a lot of where I'm standing where we get to actually be with people because we haven't been loving on each other. We haven't been connected with each other. She's my sister Aisha out here who she says it's definitely a wake up call for all of us. Hope we are all taking notes. We are on our own. Family, I was listening to the mayor here, New Jersey, Newark. Mayor Baraka, who says, listen, whenever this thing blows over, it always hits us the worst. It always hits African communities in particular, people of color and other underserved communities the hardest because we get less funding for our things, right? So what we don't want to do is we don't want this thing to be so bad off. Right now, what we are is damage control, African. Pass the word around. We are in damage control. It's not really about you staying in your house. It's if we can minimize the impact in our communities. So many of us are underemployed. right? Already. Many of us don't have the ability to work from home. Many of us are working poor, family. So when this thing blows over, it hits our communities the hardest. So what we can do is we can do damage control. We can minimize the spread of this thing in our communities, right? We can minimize the losses in our communities. We can work together, and we can take this opportunity to break away from the contrived thoughts of what we believed that we were living. And we can now create a space where we can take and fold into one another. We can now have the opportunity to actually be community. We can actually be creative. So many of us kept saying we stressed out. Listen, I know folks out here with their wage jobs and they're underserved, underpaid, underemployed, and underpaid. Listen, family, them folks gonna take care of this system. Make no mistake about it. This they baby. These folks created this system. You are really kind of like out there as far as they're concerned. They leverage your work, they leverage your skills, they leverage your talents in the matrix. These folks will take care of this matrix. So all you need to do is get through this experience. We're in damage control right now. That is a reasonable, strategic, intellectual conversation to have and how to approach this. So yes, stay home. Go through your spirituality, dig in deep, start connecting with people you haven't been connecting with. Check on your family and friends, have those video chats, have those phone conversations, get into your projects and your creativity, and forego the conversation about anxiety and fear and sadness and all. Like that's not even the thing. Every time I ask people, I have to tell people, I'm the person who says to people, how you doing, babe? How you doing, beloved? How's everything going? Oh, I'm tired. Stop saying you tired. Stop saying you tired. If you keep saying I'm tired, then tired will forever be in your space. Say something like, I need more rest. How are you, beloved? Well, I could use some more rest, right? That sounds different than you saying I'm tired. Because tired will always be in your space. Now you got more rest. You can get more rest. You can do your creativity. You can do your projects. You have your time to unwind now. The pressure is off to some degree, right? Those unemployment numbers, that 25%, unemployment numbers have been high in the African community for as long as I can remember. Right. They said the nation is 7% whatever. Yeah. That don't apply to me, right? Because that's a national average. I'm talking about an African community where I've always been. The numbers have always been high.
And also, and also be clear that when they say these numbers, it's a fluff number, because unemployment doesn't mean prosperous. Because you can work a low rate job.
Working poor is definitely a thing.
You stay, exactly. Working poor. Just because you're working doesn't mean you're
working
thriving.
Not to be destitute.
Because there's working people that still have to use government assistance.
So childcare, food stamps.
Exactly. The injustice still exists even for those working. So it's good for them to say numbers that people are working. It's great, but what are they doing? Well, how are they actually prospering and thriving living off of this land? They're not. So we don't want to get hung up in what these people say, titles and semantics.
That's their system. That's the system, the matrix.
Yeah.
Compartmentalize those things in a way that you are here. But I really want people to take charge of their own involvement and their own power. I know we haven't had power as a people. As a people, we haven't actually had access to understanding that we actually can impact our lives and that we can actually do something about our circumstances. The great majority of us, I just keep it raw with you. We just do what we're told to do. We just, round peg, round hole, and we just keep it moving. And after that, it's the party. Family, let's be clear. That's actually how the great majority of our community live. Round peg, round hole, we go do this, we get that, we do this, we do a round peg, round hole, and we just go through the cycles of our lives and the levels of our living, and then after that, it's the party, right? It's chill time, it's the concert, it's the whatever the things that we fill our spaces up with, which is all fine and good, but since I'm the macro person, I'm here to tell you that those things don't necessarily serve us as a collective. So now that we have this time to sit and be with ourselves and be in our spaces and be in our creativity and in our minds, we get to actually try to hear our voice. I did the most work within my personal journey in times when I was alone. That's when the greatest majority of my work was done, is when I was able to get into my own head, spirit, hear my voice, hear my ancestors, get into my prayer, do my meditations, and harness my power. So this is a great time to take that opportunity to become familiar with yourself. Have a relationship with yourself, because some of us, although we look in the mirror every day, have never actually seen ourselves. So let's take this opportunity to be with that in this wellness check on the Soundbytes Humpday.
For sure.
Wellness check. I came back in, guys. I know some of you saw me last week, and I told you earlier that, I did the whole facial peel thing, and now my skin is back, nice, powerful, and radiant. Boom!
Yeah, looking gorgeous.
Peace and blessings, man. Because,
Yeah, and definitely, and I really want to say this because, it's important, because I see there's always these different sides of the different coins when it comes to, like, the idea of stay home and do stuff. People, I've seen it pass around the internet, people feel like, memes of like, oh, well, don't feel like you should be pressured to be productive when you stay home or what have you. And it's like, yeah, that's all well and good.
God,
that's
people
fine.
say so much
I
foolishness.
want to speak about this because I think it's important for people to understand. Because there's a lot of people that tend to get mixed signals when this messaging comes up that sounds like guru shit. When it's really like, I understand, like,
fluffy
you
talk.
don't necessarily, if granted, not everybody's out here trying to be an entrepreneur, not everybody's out here trying to be an artist, and there's people out here that are struggling with it. We're clear, there's people out here that are struggling with just being at home, there's people that are struggling with just being with themselves, being with whoever their mate is, or whoever's in the home with them. Sometimes they're struggling.
Well, that's some things to work on.
Right, but I'm saying, like, there is some things to work on, that's a thing, that's an opportunity to be with it, since everyone has time. There's nothing, like, the school is out, the club is out, none of that stuff is moving. There's literally nothing moving, so you can destroy the FOMO. But, like, it's seriously, it really is a thing of, like, you can be fine, you can be home and be still. You don't have. I'm not saying you don't even have to do shit. You don't have to go build a business plan and create a form. You don't have to. Fine, you can do that. But also at the same time, let's not be in a space of I'm sitting still, but I'm also complaining about the situation. There has to be a middle ground in how you deal with your situation to be your best self at the end of the day. And we become part of a society that very much glorifies and celebrates being in the mediocrity of self.
Absolutely.
And that does not work. How does that work to get to your best self? There's a celebration of being the worst parts of
mediocre.
Yourself. And from what I'm saying is that there's this whole thing of, like, it's okay to accept your flaws. Yes, it is. It's not okay to
improve on them.
You get to improve on them. You get to have grace in how you are. You get to have grace and understanding you do have flaws, but that does not mean you live through those flaws.
And keep them.
You get to grow from that.
Thank you.
Acknowledgement and understanding of flaws is like, okay, how do I get to work within this? How do I get to be the better person I get to be? Because a lot of people operate in, well, this is who I am. That does not work.
People got to deal with my foolishness. Not me. I'm gonna drop you like a bad habit.
And I really, it's just so important to me personally. And people could take it however they want it, but it's so important to me personally to really be like, you get to step into your best self.
Come on now, come through, family.
Do not let this society. Do not let this society try to define you. Like, it's okay to be mediocre. It's okay to be low level. Yes, it's okay to be. It's okay to be low level because that means there's no opportunity for you to rise up against what is being oppressing you this whole time.
Oh, but you know something? It's an opportunity to make you vulnerable. Yeah, exactly. And it also, because we also in a space where people lack the tenacity and the get up and go and the internal, something that I did when I was in undergrad, is the internal locus of control. Mm-hmm. They have a lack of drive from their inner spirit. They're waiting for other people outside of their world to give them permission to be and do something. Yeah. I'm here to tell you that when you grow from your deficits, it's nothing wrong with being ignorant. Yeah. I celebrate ignorant people. Now, the thing about ignorance is you get to become intelligent. Right. You don't get to sit there and just be ignorant. There's nothing wrong with being ignorant. The issue is staying ignorant. So that's the issue. You don't have to, I didn't walk up one day and all of a sudden I just knew and had wisdom and was this or that. Yeah. No, but you get to be a person because what happens is I'm a solution-based thinker. I had to become a solution-based thinker because that was therapy for me. It was therapeutic for me to find solutions to my deficits, right? Mm-hmm. It was empowering for me and therapeutic for me to impart action that helped me empower myself to change my circumstances. That was therapeutic for me. Now, some people, like Deepak Chopra, I believe, said people are addicted to their pain body. They want to be pitiful and sad and have a sad story, and everybody's supposed to just be poo-pooing with them. I don't have space for that. I'm not making space for it. I hear you, girl, and that's all good and well. You're going to go through your process, and that's well and good, but what we going to do moving forward?
There's a short-lived glory in a victim
conversation. I'm not here for the poo-poo and fucking conversation. It's so annoying, right? Especially when I know how brilliant you are. And I'm here to tell you that we are in the deficits and we are vulnerable the way that we are because we have been cultivated this way. We have been grown to be disempowered. We have accepted a subordinate posture as a culture of people. And this is not just a black conversation. This is actually a United States nation conversation. Nationally, we have been cultivated into a space where we are disempowered and we only look for solutions from within the matrix. We do not exercise our own internal personal creativity and spiritual foundation in order to create solutions. Yeah, we give our power over to something or someone or someplace else, and we lack the personal internal locus of control that drives us to be a part of the change. Yeah. So you don't get to just sit there round peg and round hole around me because I'm not accepting that. Because I know you can do, be, and express yourself much bigger and much better.
Yeah. And hear me when I say, like, don't be afraid to be afraid. Fearlessness is a nice idea, but understanding that there is something that causes you fear means there's an opportunity for you to have a breakthrough and to break past that fear.
Boom.
So if you're afraid,
the beast of the night.
Exactly. When you're clear on it, instead of running away from it, when you're clear on it, there's an opportunity. Okay, how can I challenge this beast? How can I challenge this beast and overcome it? And I can always acknowledge that it's there, but I know that I have the power to overcome it and not have it control me. So if you're in that space, I want you the opportunity to really sit and think about that. If you're fearing what it is to be with yourself, if you're fearing what it is to be in your home or whatever the case may be, take the opportunity to challenge it and be with yourself. Stand it and face it forward. And you
but there's so many
what
things.
Comes through.
Give thanks. Sorry for that. Yeah, there's so many things that are attached to the way that we be in our space. We look for this validation. So if we have no one to clap for us, somehow we cease to have a validated conversation. Mm-hmm. If no one can see our car, if no one can see our credentials, if we can't walk around and throw our swag, then unfortunately we have no self-worth. And that's also a lot of what people are going through right now. But that is a place where, like I said in the post, that there's so many things in our space that actually don't matter. What really matters is how much value you can provide. How much support can you give? How much does your being impact the space in a positive way? Mm. Because a lot of people are not impacting space in a positive way. They're just adding foolishness, more foolishness, and they're talking about this 5G stuff, and they're talking about all of this thing. If 5G was what they say that it is, and people are going to be walking through the streets just throwing up their guts, and they're going to be turning into liquid inside of their bodies, I'm here to tell you, what are you going to do about it once it comes? Because you waited this long. If it go down, they go down. At the end of the day, let the Lord take care. Let the divine take care of all that. I'm just saying, you have the serenity, right, to change what you can, right? That's not a conversation. That's nothing you can do about that. Those things are adding noise to the space. What we can do is we can do damage control right now. We can try to minimize the effects of this thing in our communities and with our families and our friends and our networks and our churches and our organizations. We can share good information. We can encourage one another. We can teach each other how to build up our immune system. Our sister Aisha out there, she has a business, another business outside of her work and all her busying that she does, where she has a beverage line, ginger juice. I'm talking about the African recipe. Oh, over there. Yes. She have the boss recipe straight from the motherland, pure, made by hand, the original recipe, and it's fortifying folks. Sister's recipe, I'm going to post it in the comments. If you want to order it, you can order it. She has while supplies last because she can't re-up as much as she was because of, right, the blockages that we having. Our sister Reed is out there. Give thanks. Thank you so much, Sister Lotus. Thank you so much, Brother Carl. Appreciate all the people who have come in tonight for this wellness check, family. And let's just stay fortified. You know how we do. We come through. Black consciousness is the claim. One world is the aim, family. Yeah, we come together to just fortify and lift our family in a way that's truthful, authentic. And you know what? We have your best interests at heart. And we don't want nothing from you, right? What we do here is we get to see you be your best self, because ultimately that's going to impact our world.
That's the only thing.
That's going to impact our world. Our entire world is the better off you are, the greater you can stand in your empowered space and be the difference that's different confidently in your African vibration and spirit and soul here, right? And in here, right, that will impact the world's landscape and make the whole space much better, family.
Sure. That's all we want. Peace and blessings, family. So, thank you for joining us. Unless you had any last words, or
Oh yeah, I'm done.
okay.
Give thanks, family.
Peace and blessings to you. We hope you have a blessed night. Join us for
Yes.
Soundbytes on Monday, at 9:30 p.m. Eastern time.
Yes, indeed. Share the
as
link.
always, share the link, share the post. You can share this post as well.
Share this post.
And continue the conversation in the thread. We continue and keep on talking with our people, checking with the wellness. Let us know what you're doing. Let us know how you coping. Let us know how you living, how you breathing within this situation, because we love you as our people.
We love you.
We love our people.
Agape family. Sao Bona. We see into you from a spiritual and very profound perspective, family. And we divinely want each and every one of us to be able to be empowered in our divine selves and be able to impact the world's landscape the way that we were designed to do.
we all one, Sister Aisha. We're here in the now. Blessings, sister.
My
Blessings
sister.
to me,
I just love you so
Aisha,
much.
we love you. So
Give thanks,
peace
Sister
and
Lotus
blessings,
out
y'all.
there.
You have a blessed one. Take care of yourself. Be safe.
One
Stay
love.
home.
Stay home.
Stay home. Urge your people to stay home. You see,
Watch
trying
some
to get out.
documentaries. Watch
Stop
some
looking
YouTube
against the head.
videos. Get over there. Watch Dr. Ben. Watch Dr. Cressling. Watch Dr. Ela Africa. Watch watch Maya Angelou. Like, get out there and be with the ancestors and fortify and get some good information around our culture so that you can connect with a narrative separate and apart from what you've been told by these folks. It's important for your soul salvation, family. Get free.
All right.
Sister Michi X, sister said, get free. Get free out here, family. Free your mind, Craig. Free your mind.
Right. One love, family. Have a blessed
Peace
night.
and blessings.
Take care.